SHOT Show season is creeping up on us again, and man, the buzz around the new handguns is already getting loud. Every brand is teasing new drops, leaks are slipping out left and right, and a few of these pistols look like they're about to completely flip the 2026 lineup on its head before the doors to the show even open. Hey everyone, today we are breaking down the new handguns you absolutely have to know about for SHOT Show 2026. We're going to cover why people are watching these models so closely and the early features that already have shooters like you and me fired up. Before we dive in, do me a solid. If you like this kind of no BS gun talk, smash that subscribe button and tap the bell. You don't have to, but it keeps this train rolling and lets me keep cranking out more of this content for y'all. All right, enough of that. Let's get to the guns, and we're starting with the biggest news on the floor. You heard that right. Glock is shaking up almost its entire catalog right before SHOT Show 2026, which puts the new V-Series at the absolute top of my go handle this in person list. For a company that usually moves at a glacial pace, this is a seismic shift. Glock already confirmed that the V-line is rolling out in late 2025 and will be phasing out more than 30 existing models. We're talking core guns here: the G17, G19, G19X, G45, G26, all getting updated versions like the G17V, G19V, and so on. They're even doing it for their big frame 10mm and 45 guns. This is a massive reset. From my side of the bench, the interesting part is how subtle the changes look on the surface. But when you dig in, you see the real story. Reports so far are talking about revised frame geometry for better recoil control, a refined trigger system with a cleaner break, standardized internals across the different frame sizes. But the big headline, the one being whispered in the background, is compliance. Industry folks are already connecting this V redesign to new rules aimed at stopping illegal auto-sears, or switches. Several write-ups mention that the trigger bar, sear surfaces, and the rear slide area have been tweaked specifically so that current conversion devices simply will not drop in. This lines up perfectly with what states like California are trying to clamp down on. For a serious Glock runner, SHOT Show is going to be the first real chance to compare these V-guns head-to-head with the Gen 5s we all know. I want to get my hands on one and feel it for myself. Is the trigger really better? How does the new frame feel in the hand? And what's the real story with the optics? Some sources say they're going with universal optics-ready slides, but current listings still show a mix of standard and MOS models. This isn't just another generation. This is the direction Glock is taking for the next decade, and you better believe it's going to be a key stop on the floor. Okay, so what if you love the Glock 19 footprint, but you want something more? Something with the soul of a 2011. Well, Staccato's Compact HD C36 is one of those guns I immediately flagged as a must-touch. They've basically taken their full-size, hard-use duty concept and shrunk it down into a compact 2011 that still feels like a serious fighting pistol, not a watered-down carry piece. On paper, the specs are clean. It's a 9mm with a 3.6-inch bull barrel, 15+1 capacity, and an aluminum alloy frame that keeps the unloaded weight right around 24 ounces. So yeah, it lives in that Glock 19 neighborhood. But here's the wild part. The feature that made me do a double take, the magazine choice. This Staccato ships with two 15-round Mech-Gar Glock 19 pattern mags, and it's compatible with most standard Glock 19 magazines. That is a huge deal. It opens up a massive, affordable, and reliable pool of mags and support gear that every gun owner on the planet already has access to. No more expensive, proprietary 2011 mags for your carry gun. The feature set is exactly what you'd expect from Staccato's HD line. A crisp, single-action-only trigger in the 4 to 4.5 pound range. Ambidextrous safeties and slide stops. Their host optic system that keeps the rear sight in front of the optic, which is the setup I prefer. The grip texture is smart too. Milder on the sides so it doesn't rub you raw when you carry, but aggressive on the front and back straps where you need to lock in your grip under recoil. For SHOT Show, this is the Staccato I'd be lining up for on range day. It represents where high-end concealed carry is heading. Duty-grade reliability in a compact size, built on a magazine ecosystem everyone can use. All right, let's talk about the world most of us live in, concealed carry. The big challenge is always finding a tiny gun that doesn't beat your hands up. This year, we've got two very different answers to that problem. First up, the Shield X Carry Comp. Smith & Wesson fits right into that compensated micro carry space everyone is chasing, but they did it in a way that actually makes sense for daily carry. The key detail for me is that it stays the same overall size as a regular Shield X. They snuck a compensator into the 3.6-inch barrel, so you're not stuck carrying a longer gun just to tame the recoil of that 9mm. It's a polymer micro compact running on 13 and 15 round mags, weighing just over 20 ounces. It stays in that perfect subcompact footprint that actually disappears under a t-shirt. The magic comes from the Performance Center build, which adds their power port system. It's a single port at 12 o'clock in the barrel that vents gas straight up, pushing the muzzle down. This means your follow-up shots stay flatter and faster. They didn't cheap out on the other features either. You get an optics-ready slide for RMSC dots, a bright AmeriGlow front sight, and good serrations. This is one of the few new micro carries I'd actually prioritize shooting on range day, just to see how much that little port really does. Now for the other side of the coin. Springfield's approach wasn't to tame the 9mm, but to switch the caliber. The 380 version of the Hellcat has my attention because they didn't just shrink a gun and call it good. They built a micro compact that keeps the exact same popular footprint, but cuts the recoil down to something way easier for newer shooters, or anyone who just hates snappy little guns. The specs are familiar: a 3-inch barrel, 6 inches overall, and about 16 ounces unloaded. But the part that stands out is the capacity. Springfield kept the high stack layout, so you get 11+1 with the flush mag and 13+1 with the extended one. That puts it right at the top of the 380 carry class for round count. They also tuned the shootability with a dual captive recoil spring. Paired with 380 ACP, the recoil impulse drops noticeably. Running doubles or controlled pairs becomes much easier. For real-world carry distances, modern defensive 380 loads are perfectly adequate. For SHOT Show 2026, this is a gun I'd stop and get trigger time on because the whole package just feels so balanced. It's a compelling choice for someone who prioritizes comfort and control. Okay, now let's look at the stuff that's truly different. The guns that are breaking away from the standard pistol mold. First, the Caracal CMP9 and CMP9K. These are on my personal watch list because they're basically SMG-style 9mm pistols built for people who love AR ergonomics. Think of it like your AR and an MP5 had a baby. You get that familiar AR feel, but it runs on compact and reliable MP5 mags. The CMP9 has a 9-inch cold hammer forged barrel, and the CMP9K trims that down to a 6-inch barrel for tighter spaces, like vehicle work. From a shooter's point of view, I don't see these as range toys. I see them as modern truck guns or fantastic PCC hosts. The advanced blowback system keeps the recoil soft, so staying on target for fast follow-up shots is easy. If you're into pistol format 9mm rigs that feel like a mini carbine, this is one you'll want to handle in person. On the Taurus side, the GX4 Strike Bravo feels like a real jump from a normal Micro 9 into a legit PDW-style carry gun. They took the guts of their GX4 carry 9mm and, with Strike Industries, dropped it into a dedicated chassis built around a stabilizer brace. This isn't for your waistband, this is for the backpack behind your truck seat. The chassis adds Picatinny rails for lights and lasers, and most importantly, a folding brace. That brace gives you way more stability and points of contact than a bare pistol, turning it into a tiny, effective truck gun or civilian PDW. It comes with a threaded barrel, a reversible charging handle, and works with all your existing GX4 mags. This is one of the few Micro Plus brace setups I actually want to shoot, just to see how much real control you gain at 25 or 50 yards. Finally, we have Steyr. In a world saturated with polymer, striker-fired pistols, Steyr just said, "Hold my beer," and went straight for metal frames and real hammer systems. That tells me exactly who they're aiming at. The ATC series is for competition. Stainless steel frames, light single-action-only triggers around 3 pounds, and long barrels. This is a setup that soaks up recoil and tracks flat between targets. Steyr is clearly going after the CZ, Tanfoglio, and Beretta matchgun crowd, but with their own unique style. Then the ATD lineup shifts lanes to duty and defense. It uses aluminum frames to cut weight, and a traditional double-action, single-action system. What's cool here is the user-swappable hammer and recoil springs. You can actually tune the feel of the gun yourself without needing a gunsmith. For 2026, this series stands out because it's a breath of fresh air. Metal frames, legit triggers, and real tuning options give it an identity all its own. So there you have it. Looking at this lineup, we're seeing some clear trends. There's a huge push into compensated micro-carries to make small guns more shootable. We're seeing a return to metal frames for pure performance. And even the biggest player in the game, Glock, is making its most significant change in years, partly driven by politics. That's my take. But now I want to hear from you. Which of these guns are you most excited to see at SHOT Show? Is there a big release you think I missed? Drop a comment down below and let me know. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you in the next one.